Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights. Last episode we finished Act 2, finished up everything in Luskan in the host tower and learned as much about the cult as we could. This Margrim Korathir is the one in charge and he's working for some mistress, some member of an ancient race of lizard folk, trying to strengthen her for some reason. He's searching for words of power. He has one, but there are still 3 he has not found. Now I believe it's time we speak with Aarin and learn more.
This has become something of a habit, has it not? Once more, Neverwinter is threatened, and once more you are called upon to save us all. Yet this time you will be reporting directly to me. With Erebeth's defection, Lord Nasher has elevated me from the role of spy master to that of his right hand. To be honest, I much prefer to stay in the shadows. Yet Neverwinter has need of me, so I will serve without complaint.
It is an honor to serve Neverwinter, Aarin.
Neverwinter has need of all her allies now, whether they serve for honor, duty, or gold. I have examined the reconnaissance reports of my operatives in the field, and the situation is grim indeed.
I can imagine.
The Luskan armies are marching against Neverwinter with Erebeth at their head, ravaging the land as they pass and leaving only destruction in their wake. Perhaps even more troubling are the reports of orcs and some of the Uthgard tribes joining Erebeth and the Luskan army to pillage and plunder.
I still find it hard to believe Erebeth betrayed Neverwinter.
Perhaps had we been more observant, Erebeth's betrayal would not have been such a surprise. She was never the same after Fenthic's execution. She abandoned us. But part of me wonders if we did not first turn our backs on her suffering. But hindsight serves no purpose now. Erebeth has vowed revenge against Neverwinter. The pain of her loss makes her blind to anything else. It is up to us to see she does not get the revenge she seeks.
Is there no one who comes to the defense of Neverwinter?
The Lord's Alliance has come to our aid. Without them, our plague-weakened city would already have come under siege. And several of the Uthgard stand with us. The Red Tiger and Black Lion tribes have made camp with us here at Biaruna's Well, and Uthgard Holy Site. But Erebeth and the Luskan army are best left to the generals in the field. You have a much more important mission.
Of course. And have your spies learned anything of Margrim?
The few reports I have heard of Margrim indicate he is not with the Luskan army. It seems he is content to leave the battles to Erebeth. I believe Erebeth and the Luskan invaders are but a decoy, a distraction to draw our troops and resources away from the true threat.
A decoy?
It has not been easy to gather information on Margrim's cult, but we know they are frantically searching for the ancient artifacts known as the Words of Power.
This is true.
Though we do not yet know what these words are, or why Margrim desires them, we know there are at least 3 of these artifacts. We must not let them fall into the hands of the cult. You must find these ancient words before Margrim does. If you do not, then I fear any victory by the Lord's Alliance will prove meaningless.
I'll do the best I can, but do you have any idea where I should be looking for the Words of Power? No one has ever even heard of them.
There are reports of Margrim's followers searching throughout the land. The hills and mountains to the north, the forests to the west, even the sprawling farmlands to the south. I wish I had more guidance for you. Perhaps you can learn more from Lillian Cambridge, an expert on ancient artifacts who claims to have some knowledge of the Words of Power.
That would be the first who has any knowledge of it. That is a lead we'll have to follow.
Lillian has promised to offer whatever help she can to any of my agents in this matter. You could probably find her in the tavern in the southeast corner of the camp. I know this may seem an impossible task, but I can think of no other person I would rather have undertaking this mission than you.
And what should I do once I find these Words of Power?
If you find one of the words, bring it back to me here. My underground network will transport it to the safety of Lord Nasher's castle.
Oh boy, hopefully that doesn't backfire. Anything else?
I regret there is nothing more I can tell you. Even the little information I have already given came at great cost, Many of my best men and women gave their lives for it.
Thank you. And where could I get some supplies? Anywhere?
This camp has been set up to serve as a base for both the war effort and those searching for the words of power. In the various buildings, you will find whatever type of store you require.
Thank you. I'll be going now.
I wish you luck in your mission. The very survival of Neverwinter may depend on it.
Alright. Now, we have our companions again. Let us speak with each of them. So let's start with Tommy, of course.
Nice to see you again. That cheerful Gen fellow brought you here too, huh? Looking for some words of power or something,
It's good to see you again, Tommy. I was gonna take a long hike and look around for my old friend Sammy. I bet he's around here somewheres. But somehow I knew we'd bump into each other again. Well, to make the story short, I was caught doing something I shouldn't when I was somewhere I shouldn't have been. So Master Gendir said I had to come and help here or else. Figures that you'd be here too, my lord, with you being a great hero and all, but you didn't have to come like I did either. Do you know anything about the words of power, Tommy? Me? Heck no. You might want to trot off in the Coldwood and check it out, though. Why the Coldwood? Well, there's always tales of strange things out in those woods. I passed through more than a month back and I remember seeing some ruins off the path. My guide said they belonged to some wealthy mage who locked herself away in there long ago, and that she used to collect a lot of strange things, so who knows? Oh, the acquaintance of mine is in that area too. Name's Vash. I wouldn't trust him farther than I could throw him, which ain't far, but he knows the Coldwood well. I'd be honored to have you join up with me again, Tommy. Okie dokie, my lord. And do you have any information?
What can Tommy do for you?
Well, I'd like to talk. Oh, what did you have in mind, my lord? Well, out of curiosity, have you always been a rogue, Tommy? How funny you should ask that, my lord. I was an urchin on the streets of Kalampur, first and foremost, and that's where I learned my street smarts, but I wasn't always that way. In fact, when I was a tender young lad, a kindly human wizard saw great promise in me and took me in. I was his apprentice, in fact, for quite some time. That's where I met my best friend Sammy, after all. He was another apprentice. I would have been a full wizard myself if things had worked out. You, a wizard? You must be joking. Oh, you're making fun of me now, aren't you, my lord? It's true, though. When it came to books and studying, I may as well have been a Sahagin in the desert. That wizard, what was his name? Halasar? He saw something in me that I never saw. Said I would make a wizard whether I liked it or not. I thought I would make a wonderful thief if I could be invisible and fly around all the time. I just couldn't wait. Halasar had all these pretty things in his tower, unfortunately. Let me guess, you stole them? Of course I stole them! What kind of a rogue do you think I am? Got a good price on the streets, too. Even Halasar beat me black and blue by the time I returned. Once I swiped Halasar's spellbook and sold that for a pretty price. Boy, was the old man furious. There was a storm brewing round the tower by the time I got back. Of course, I had to lie and say that Sammy took the book. Come to think of it, that's how Sammy got kicked out of his apprenticeship. You got your friend kicked out. Well, he wasn't much of a wizard, and old Sammy wasn't my friend back then anyway. I made it up to him by becoming his pal later, once I stopped being an apprentice. The end of my apprenticeship is quite the story itself. I should tell you that sometime, my lord, if you're interested. That would be later, though. Right now we got a city to save, right?
Eh?
I don't know. Can you continue your story now? No. Oh boy, he was once a wizard. Alright, let's move on to DeLijn.
Greetings and well met. It is good to look upon you once more. No doubt Aarin Gen has brought you here to aid in the search for the words of power.
It is good to see you again, DeLijn. I'll definitely be taking you with me in these Uthgard lands. After Erebeth's betrayal, I meant to travel north in search of the quest to prove myself to my tribe. Yet even as we parted ways, I suspected we would meet once more, Ken. And then I heard of Aarin Gen's call for all those who would serve the cause of Neverwinter to join the Lord's Alliance here at Bayerun as well, a holy place to the Uthgard. I thought it might be a sign from my gods. After all you have done for Neverwinter, I knew you would be here, Ken. That is why I came, to join with you once more. I feel our fates are bound together. Do you know anything about the words of power, DeLijn? I have heard nothing of these words, though recent events concerning the Uthgard Elk tribe might be worth investigating. How so? The Elk tribe has allied itself with the Luskan forces. As incredible as it sounds, they have attacked Fort Ilkard and the settlers' farms to the south. I am of the Red Tiger tribe, but there are values and beliefs common to all the Uthgard people. We are warriors and hunters, not bloodthirsty savages. The Uthgard are a people of honor. I believe some evil force is at work, a dark taint that has polluted the noble spirit of the Elk tribe. There can be no other explanation for their actions. I only mention the Elk tribe because you asked, Ken. If you allow me to join you once more, I will of course follow you wherever you choose to go. I would be honored to have you join up with me again, DeLijn. And once more, my blade is yours to command, Ken.
Yes?
Indeed. And if I may ask, let's talk a bit. I wouldn't mind knowing your thoughts on Erebeth's betrayal. Why do you think she did it? There are some who claim Erebeth betrayed Neverwinter out of grief. Others say she seeks to avenge Fenthic's death out of some perverse sense of justice. There are even those who say she was driven mad by Fenthic's execution and is not aware of what she's doing. But I think something else drives her now. What do you think her reason is? Neverwinter turned its back on her. The city rejected her, and its people cast her out. There's no pain so great as being turned away by those you most want to take you in. What are you talking about? They never turned her out. Perhaps not, but Erebeth no doubt felt that they did. The people blamed Fenthic enough to kill him. How could she not feel they despised her as well? And then Lord Nasher sent her to Port Last with Aarin Gent. It was obvious Lord Nasher wanted an excuse to send her away from the city. No doubt he thought it best to calm the people and keep Erebeth from suffering their wrath as Fenthic had. But in her grief she would have seen it as a cold and brutal rejection. A symbolic banishment. Sounds like you think she was justified. I am not saying what Erebeth did was right, or even justified. But there is a tale among the Uthgard, an ancient legend of consequences and betrayal. Fenthic's execution and Erebeth's betrayal remind me of a tale of my own people. I only hope Neverwinter does not suffer the same fate as the Uthgard. What fate would that be? Perhaps later I will tell you the tale, but now is not the time for me to speak of this. We must focus on finding the words of power for Aarin Gent if we are to save Neverwinter. Very well, DeLijn. We will speak later. Next, let's
Hello,
move to Body.
It is I, Bodynock Glinkle. It is good to see a friendly face in these unfamiliar surroundings.
It is good to see you again, Bodynock. I have to admit I was not surprised to find you here at Mayren as well, Ken. Given your previous record of service, it was only logical to conclude that you would be among those recruited by Neverwinter's spymaster to aid his cause. That is partly why I chose to come here, Ken. I have found our previous experiences together to be very enlightening. Well, you're a very logical person, Bodynock, and quite informed. Do you know anything about the words of power? I doubt I can help you there, Ken. All I know of this area is limited to the accounts of Lantanese explorers detailing the hills to the north of Mayren as well. Well, it's a start. Tell me about these accounts. As you know, the love of exploration and the thrill of discovery are traits shared by all the people of Lantan. Whenever one of our people visits a foreign land, they make an account of all the experience. These accounts are added to the great library of Lantan so that all our people can be enlightened. A few years ago, a gnome named Hergia Wanderlust returned to my island with his account of this region. The majority of his time was spent exploring the hills to the north of Mayren as well, secretly observing the habits and activities of the giants who make their home there. Wait, giants? Oh yes, we have no giants on Lantan, so my people are fascinated by them. Herigo's research is the most detailed account we have had to date of these remarkable creatures. The subjects he was studying, hill giants were the exact species if I remember correctly, had actually chosen a king from among their numbers, and this king had united several bands of giants into a single powerful tribe. They had even constructed a great steading to house the king, and from there they raided the lands to the south. Until Herigo's research, we assumed hill giants to be incapable of such high-level organization. Anything else? Most of Herigo's research was of a scientific nature. Diet, mating habits, activity cycles, habitat and territory range. Academically compelling, but hardly useful in your mission, I'm afraid. I would love to see those giants before I leave the North, Ken, though I know my own wants must be set aside until after the words of power are found. That doesn't help me out very much in finding the words of power. But we should join up again, Body Knock. I would be honored to join up with you once more, Ken. Together we can find the words of power and solve the mystery of who is truly behind the Neverwinter Plague. Morag and Malgrim.
Is there something you need?
Now, I would like to speak. If I may, I wouldn't mind knowing your thoughts on Erebeth's betrayal. How do you feel about it? Erebeth's betrayal has caused me no amount of confusion, Ken. On the one hand, her actions appear irrational and illogical. She has vowed to destroy the city she spent her life protecting. But on the other hand, isn't it logical to assume a warrior will want to avenge the death of her lover? And what about Fenthic's death, which caused this whole mess? His execution made no sense. He was not an enemy of the city, and had he lived, he would have done everything in his power to help Neverwinter to make up for what he had done. What purpose is there in killing a man who is only going to be your ally in the future? Such irrational behavior is difficult for me to understand, Ken. Sometimes people let their emotions rule their actions, and we do foolish things. In Lantern, we bow to the laws of reason and logic. Emotion can never be truly factored out of any decision, but we do our best to look at the facts with a dispassionate eye before taking action. I suppose in that sense we are quite different from many of the other cultures of Faerun. We will have to familiarize ourselves with these strange lands if we hope to integrate Lantern into mainland society. Integrate? What are you talking about? Lantern is an island. By geography, we are isolated from the rest of the world. Over the centuries, this has led to an insular nature, particularly among my people, the gnomes. We consider ourselves safely removed from the troubles of the mainland. We have been fascinated observers of the history of Faerun, as befits our analytical mindset, but we chose not to be active participants in events. Recently, however, our culture has embarked upon a radical journey of change, a revolutionary shift in our entire belief system. Soon, perhaps even in my own lifetime, Lantern will become an important part of life in the realms. What are you talking about? Some kind of invasion? We are thinkers, inventors, and academics, Ken, not soldiers. We plan to bring our culture and beliefs to Faerun through peaceful means, though we are proceeding in a rational and logical fashion. Before we attempt to introduce ourselves into the existing order, we must study and analyze the current political and cultural realities in an organized and thorough fashion. Could you expect anything else, given our nature? Why the sudden change in ideology? As you can imagine, a revolution of this magnitude must be precipitated by an astonishing event. Without a significant catalyst, there cannot be a significant reaction. In our case, the catalyst is a single wondrous event. The day the god Gond Wonderbringer washed up on the shores of Lantern in mortal form. You're referring to the time of troubles, aren't you? You are right, Ken. I am speaking of the time of troubles, when the gods were forced to take mortal form and walk among us. I would share the tale with you, but the story of Gond Wonderbringer's time on Lantern is a long one, Ken. Perhaps I will speak more of this later, but now is not the time. We need to focus on our mission. We have to get those words of power back to Aarin again. As you wish, though that is going to be quite an interesting tale. Alright, that's 3 companions now. Oh, it's a good thing I got the water. Time to kill my throat.
The fires of war are burning on the horizon. Why am I not surprised to see you here to forge your blood-drenched legacy in the furnace of slaughter?
It is good to see you again, Grimnaw.
There are not many who claim it is good to see the members of my order, Ken. But you and I are of the same ilk. We do not shy from death and killing. When I heard Aarin Gend was recruiting mercenaries to his cause, I knew you would come, Ken, just as I did. Our fates appear once more to be bound together. Erebeth's betrayal has stoked the fires of war, and I am eager to see the killing begin. If we are lucky, this war will engulf the entire region.
Do you know anything about the words of power, Grimnaw?
I have not heard anything of these words, Ken, though I once lived with my clan in the mountains to the north.
You used to live in this region.
Long ago, my dwarf clan dwelt in the Dragon Mountains. Though when Bruenor Battlehammer reclaimed Mithril Hall, we left to join the others of our kind who flocked to his banner. At night, great worms could often be seen soaring over the moonlit skies. There were many legends of the hordes these winged serpents guarded, and many rumors of the mighty artifacts that could be found within. I do not specifically recall mention of the words of power, but I can only assume such a powerful item would likely be found in a dragon's lair. If you wish, Ken, I will gladly join you to seek out these words of power. I have no doubt our partnership would result in a scourge of death throughout the land.
Very well, let's join up again.
Together we shall bring a flood of death to drown the north, Ken.
So the mountains to the north contain not only giants, but also dragons. That is going to be a very dangerous area. Maybe we should leave it for last.
Is there something you need?
I'd like to talk for a while. I wouldn't mind knowing your thoughts on Erebeth's betrayal. As a follower of death, how do you feel about it?
I have mixed feelings about the Paladin's actions. They say she was driven to her betrayal by the execution of her lover. She could not accept his death, and it drove her mad with grief and a desire for revenge. As a member of the Order of the Long Death, her reaction to an inevitable event seems rather childish. The Silent Lord comes for us all. We might as well learn to accept it.
Accepting death is one thing. Having your lover hung right in front of you is something else.
Would she have felt better had her lover had his entrails removed by a hungry troll? Or had his limbs ripped from their sockets by an angry giant?
I mean, probably, yes.
Or perhaps she would have been less angry had a slow-acting poison drawn him into a sleep from which he would never awaken. Death is death, Ken. My order seeks to help the world understand this.
Death may be death, but there are always ways... But there are also the methods of death. Seeing one die peacefully in his sleep is completely different from watching one be torn apart by a monster in front of them, or from watching him be hung by those you thought you trusted. Say what you want, death is death, but there's always a situation. There's always something around it. So you disapprove of what she has done?
The motives for her actions seem foolish to me, but the results are pleasing. She has brought war to the north. Thousands will die painful, shrieking deaths beneath the blades she has unleashed. The Silent Lord is eager to feast upon the table Erebeth has set for him. And while death gorges itself on the soldiers and civilians alike, I will be present to bear witness to my master's gluttony.
It's a horrible thing to say.
You only say that because you do not comprehend the mysteries of the Silent Lord. If you understood the truth of death, you would not find my words so terrible. As a monk of the Long Death, I was subjected to rituals and ceremonies that brought a true appreciation for that which others fear in their ignorance. Torture, pain, suffering, and even death itself. These things are beautiful.
I kill when I have to, Grimnaw, but I doubt I'll ever see anything beautiful in it.
You bring destruction wherever you go, Ken. Your motives may be good or evil, but that makes no difference. Death is forever by your side. The Silent Lord has placed his mark upon you. If I could share the experiences of my initiation, you might begin to glimpse some small hint of what death truly means. The only pure, absolute truth in an imperfect existence.
So enlighten me. Tell me about your order's rituals.
No, Ken. Now is not the time. Eager as you are, I am afraid you are not yet ready for the wisdom I would share. Perhaps later I will speak more of this, but now is not the time. You are not yet ready. Let us return to our mission, for in doing so we will surely spread death throughout the north.
Oh, Grimnaw. You truly are a follower of death. Every time I speak with you, you kill my throat. So let's move from that to the clumsy elf, who always has things go bad around her. Hello, Linu.
My dear friend, it warms my heart to see your face again. Aarin Gend must have brought you here to help search for the words of power.
It is good to see you again, Linu. After Arabet's betrayal, I readied myself for a return to Everesta. Yet somewhere deep inside, I prayed that we would meet once more, Ken. When I heard of Aarin Gen's call for brave adventurers to serve the cause of Neverwinter, to join the Lord's Alliance here at Bayerun as well, I knew that you could not resist such a grand opportunity. You are drawn to heroic deeds, like a glutton to the bakery, Ken. I grabbed the first ride out of town and came here. Well, the second ride actually got me here. Oh, Linu, what happened to the first ride? You make it sound as if... Oh, all right, never mind. I was supposed to hitch a ride with one of the supply wagons at first, but the wagon I was on broke. How did it break? Well, we had stopped for the night, and I had this nightmare that a dragon was chasing me. I woke up out of the dream and saw something large outlined against the moon. I should have known better. It didn't really look like a dragon, but I was frightened. So I cast the first spell that came to mind. The first blast of lightning did a little damage, but it was the following 3 that shattered it to tiny pieces. You never fail to surprise me, Lino. Yes, I do seem to go to great lengths to cause trouble. It was dark, and everyone was so shocked by the lightning that no one knew where it came from. I suppose that I probably should have told them that it was me. I had to get here, though, and I will pay Lord Nasher back out of my own wages when we are done here. Do you know anything about the words of power, Linu? I don't know where they would be, although I would think such magic would most likely be associated with the ancient times. That leads me to think about some ruins far to the south of here. What about them? I have read lately of ruins that contain traces of ancient cultures, whose knowledge of magic can ran deeper than any living today. I am an elf of Everesta, a land where studying the mysteries is more than a path, it is the highest calling. The ruins to the south call to me, as if they hide knowledge that is imperative to us. I suppose that it may just be my own heritage driving me to study something as old and unusual as these ruins are reputed to be, but it might be even more than that. I will follow your lead as always, my dear Ken. You are a better judge of such things than I am. I would love to have you travel with me again, Lina. Then I shall endeavor to keep you alive once again, Ken. Just try occasionally to keep out of harm's way. Sometimes I think you are as bad as I am for getting in trouble. I'll do the best I can.
Hey there, dear. What can I do for you?
Now, I'd like to talk for a moment. I love chatting with you, but don't you think we should focus on your mission? If I may, what made you decide that you should be a cleric? My, it's been a long time since someone asked me that question. I came to Sahanin Moonbow when I was very young, which is unusual since my parents were both mages and followers of the god Corellin. It started when I was sent to DeLijn Centristi's School for Potentials. You see, both my parents were deep into the mysteries and held positions of respect. It was assumed that I would take after my parents in the magical arts. What are potentials? All children of gifted wizards in Everesta are sent to special schools as potentials because they are expected to excel in furthering the art of spellcraft. My ability to get into trouble had already started by that age, but my parents had kept it quiet, thinking I would grow out of it. Okay, go on. My first day of classes was a disaster, but I don't think it had anything to do with my ability for spellcasting. I had an insatiable curiosity, and DeLijn was a crotchety old master who expected all elven children to be patient, quiet, and orderly. I barely possess those traits now, let alone when I was a child. The master decided to open class with a powerful spell, to awe us into submission to his tutelage. He turned his back, and I moved in. What do you mean by moved in? I just wanted to look at the spell components. They were very interesting, especially the wonderful gem he had sitting beside the circle. Well, he went to reach for the gem and it wasn't there. The spell misfired, causing him to ooze purple smoke for weeks. So he kicked you out? DeLijn was well paid for training us. He didn't kick me out right away, but he never forgave me either. It also wasn't the only accident to befall the class when I was around. Despite all of this, I might still have become a wizardess if it wasn't for the little trip I took. That was an accident that will be long remembered in our fair city. My fate became sealed to my faith in Sahanin that day. Little trip. We have too much to do right now to tell that tale. We need to find the words of power for Aarin if we are to save Neverwinter. As you wish, Lina. And now, at last, for our good bard friend Shaman.
Somehow I knew you couldn't be far. As soon as Aarin mentioned why we were brought here, I began wondering when you would pop up.
It is quite good to see you again, Shaman. Always a delight. Did I say it was good to see you? I only said I knew you'd come. I only jest, Ken. Of course it is good that you are here. I wasn't going to come to Aarin as well originally. I figured I had done enough by your side. But the story isn't finished just yet, is it? And you know what a sucker I am for a good tale. So what do you say then, Ken? Shall we join together again? I want to see this unfold firsthand. Do you know anything about the words of power? No, nothing at all. I find that strange too. I know considerable lore, yet neither I nor any of the tomes I've researched mention them. I have an idea of where to look, however. I'm curious to know how, but where? South of Fort Ilkard, there's supposed to be some ancient ruins, older than any settlement in the Northlands by far, so the tales say. It was supposedly once the home of a creator race that predates even the elves, if you can imagine that. I've never heard of anyone returning from it, though, so it could be anything. The magic power in the area is supposed to be incredible. There are stone monoliths which are too dangerous even to approach, which would give me even more reason to believe these words may be there. Thank you for your information, and I would be honored to have you join up with me again, Sharwin. Then I am at your disposal once again, Ken.
Yes?
Indeed.
Is there some...
And if I may, how about telling me a tale, Sharwin? You've told me stories of yourself, but not any other tales. You're a bard, after all. I normally save my best tales for taverns with a full audience. Why should I recount a tale only for you, Ken? Because I asked you nicely? Oh ho! So Ken puts on a pleasant tone and I am supposed to jump to please him, is that it? I'll tell you what, Ken. I'll tell you your tale, if you promise to listen attentively and be a proper audience. My tale? Alright, I can do that. Well, that's good. I'll hold you to it then. But what story should I tell then? Shall I tell the tale of the great Ken, savior of Neverwinter, and his search for the words of power? I think I know that one. Not like I tell it, believe me. You're probably right, however. The subject matter would be a bit familiar, and I'm a bit fuzzy on the ending. How about the sad tale of the great Lady Arabeth, torn between love and honor, fallen from the grace of Tyr? I've heard the ending. That's true, isn't it? Too bad. Hers is a sad tale that itches to be told. Let's see, I'll think of something else. How about the tale of the great Lord Nasher? How the man was in his glory days before he became a sad old ruler? How about something original? You're going to be picky, are you? Very well, then. Give me some time to think about it. For now, let's continue with the making of your own tale. Yeah, alright, I guess I deserve that. Anyway, as expected, we'll be taking DeLijn. This is the lands of the Uthgard. It is his people's lands, so who better to take with us? And that's all of our companions. And that is all the time we have for this episode, because it's gone on about long enough. Next episode, we'll finally walk out into Bayarunna's well itself and see what we can learn and find out here. I'm sure there is much information that we can learn. Hopefully we'll find some leads to these words of power too, but the best we have right now, north, west, and south. That'll be in the next episode, so until then, I am Chester44, that is Ken Daniels and DeLijn Red Tiger. This has been a Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights, and I shall see you all next time.